And just before we get started into building the model proper, I want to spend some time talking about something else at the back end, actually the main engine or the main back end driving this model, which is this set of data tables. So essentially what you're seeing here are interactive icons and buttons that are just on click generating the values that we see here. But behind these interactive values, essentially there are data tables that these buttons are pulling information from to generate this analysis of numbers, this additional cost, car model, and model year. And these data tables are the ones here. They're essentially two data tables because this model is doing two distinct things. It's first of all returning the car purchase cost based on the model year and the car model. So to do that, we need a data table that has three fields at the very least: the car model, the model year, and the car purchase cost. And that is the data table we have here. The car model is over here, and then the car years are in columns. And for each cell the model and year intersects, you see the value of the car in Naira. Of course, I did this analysis some years ago, so these numbers might not be real to life, but they're just indicative. I'm using them as example. And I just selected a few model years. So we need a table set up this way with car model in rows and car model year in columns and the value in Naira at the intersect of the car model and the car year. That's the first data table, and that table is running this section of the model. The next information we need in tables are the list of the additional costs, and that is what we have here, where we have driver costs, all the costs we have listed there, and we have the amount in Naira. I will come back to later to explain the logic driving this and this. So back to the car model. I've created my header area. There's a section for selecting the car model. There's a section for selecting the car year. There's a section for selecting additional costs that may apply. And there's a section for selecting how much upfront for loan payments. I don't remember the specifics here, but I can always go back to complete it. And this final area over here is where we generate the final results, which I said in 2021 you will spend. We dedicated this big area over here, which is just a cell. I just selected that block of cells and I'm just going to merge them, and I'll just highlight them in a different color so that they stand out. On car expenses, I recall that I did not include interest charges for the upfront loan, so I put exclusive of car interest of loan interest payments. So, and then there's also a section in here that returns the initial car model, the cost of the car, and based on the car and car year selected. And I'm also going to go over here, merge it, and color it in a distinct color. At this stage, I might as well just go ahead and indicate the lines I drew. And why I use those lines is so that you can visually separate the different sections of this model, and basically gives the eye a sense of where separate things are running, and it distinguishes what is running at the same time. Something else I'm going to do over here is the return. I'll select a set of boxes for return on the car upfront. merge and center, and then I colored it in the distinct color just for it to stand out. This is just part of the visual setup of the dashboard. So this is more around the dashboard design. These things I'm doing are more related to the dashboard design than the actual build. Recapping what I've done, I opened a new sheet, removed the grid lines, created a header area, indicated with text and with merged and colored cells the different sections of the dashboard, and used lines to distinguish the different sections. So how I build dashboards is in 3 steps. The first step is I create the visual layer, which is the aesthetic layer that you interact with, the usual will interact with. Then I go over to build the back end. That's the second step. And the third step is to link the back end and the front end together. And then the fourth step is to test it and ensure that it's not buggy and it works just the way it should work. So I follow a 4-step approach to building a model. The last thing needed on the visual layer is the form controls. And to do that, like I mentioned, go over to developer, I go to insert. Under the controls area, like we mentioned, there are 4 sub areas: code, add-ins, controls, and XML. I go to insert. I specifically focus on form controls, not ActiveX controls, and I need to keep calling this out because the ActiveX controls look similar to the form controls, so you need to look particularly for the form controls. So I go to the form controls and then I start to draw out the form controls that would be in operation in this model. Like we mentioned, we have 4 form controls. The list box, 4 types of form controls on this form: the list box, the option buttons or radio buttons, the checkbox, and the spin buttons. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is the list box, the one bringing in the car model. I hold it, I select it, I click on it. When I click on it, the mouse turns to the plus sign. I hold my left button on my mouse down, and then I draw it out to the shape that I need the form control to take. And it's all drawn out now. I'm going to first put all the form controls in before I connect the form controls. So this is the first form control, it's in. The next one I'm going to do is the option buttons or radio buttons that select the car year. So I've selected that, clicked on that, and then holding the mouse down, draw it out, and that's my option button. So in the model, we have 3 option buttons here, one for 2012, one for 2014, one for 2016. So we're also going to bring out 3 option buttons. I'm not going to go and draw each option button one after the other. After I create one, what I'm just going to do is select that one and copy it, Control C, and paste it 2 other times. And then I will just align them. And then I will change the label. To change the label, you just hover over the form control, the option button, until the mouse changes from this 4-point shape for moving things around to a edit cursor shape, just the one you can see here. And then when it's in that mode, you click on it and then you edit it. Also, you can, to also edit the text in a form control, you can right click on it and click edit text. That will also get you to the point where you can edit the text. I brought in the list box, I brought in the radio buttons. The next thing, I'm going to bring in the check boxes that allow me to select additional costs. So I go back to developer tab, insert, go to the check boxes, mouse turns to plus sign, I hold it down and I drag it, and then it drops in a checkbox. And I have to remind myself of the checkbox description, so I'm just going to copy that and hopefully it pastes here. So I'm just going to refer to this. This is a picture that I'm referring to put in the descriptions for this one. So I will edit the text. The text for the first checkbox is driver cost 50,000 naira per month, and that's what I'm going to put in here. And just like I did, rather than going back to developer tab to draw out a new form control every time, I'm just going to copy what I have here and paste. I'm going to paste it 4 different times because I need 4 more checkboxes. So do copy and paste, and then I'm just going to align them. Of course, a better way of doing this alignment is to select all of them. That's what I'm doing. I just held my shift button down and I'm right clicking to select them, and then you go to shape formats and then you use the align feature to ensure they are all perfectly aligned to the left and perfectly distributed vertically. So that's that, and once that is done, I can step into them and edit the description to match what should be in the car expense model. So I've set that all up, that's done. And then the last form control we're bringing in is the Spain button, the one that is here to change the percentage of upfront you're paying on the car loan. And then you go to developer, inserts, Spain button, the control tip. This control tip text to show you that you're on Spain button, and then you click it and then you just draw it out. All done. So we have our visual layer built up. The next thing is to create the back-end data, and for this demonstration I'm really not creating a back-end data. What I'm just going to do is refer to the back-end data I already have prepared. But since you are building it afresh, you will need to build your own back-end data. And at the point where you're building your back-end data, you can then decide to extend the car models you have. You can move this table out of the way, so you can actually have your costs, your table run as long as possible if you want to include different car models and maybe include even different car years, but essentially set up your back-end data the way you want it to look. And that is the second step. The third step is to connect the front end and the back end data, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. So the first thing is, in creating connecting the back end to the front end, we have to link this list box form control to the table we have that shows the car models. And to do that, I'm going to right click it so that I can format the controls. Right click to format controls, and I right click the list box, click format control, and in the format control area you would see a dialog box with 5 different tabs. The main tab you need to focus on is the control tab. Control tab will give you the opportunity to select the input range, and the input range you select here is going to be what will show up inside this list box. The cell link, I'm going to talk about that, is a link that is going to return the index of whatever you selected. So what we're going to do is select the input range. The input range is going to be the table, the rows on the tables, that the first data table, which is all the car models, because we want the car models to show up in the list box. And the cell link is going to be, I would link the cell link to somewhere here so that we can demonstrate how that works, and then I'm going to relink it to the back end so that this model is neat. So I'm going to click OK. When you click OK, you see that the list box is now populated with the lists in that range that you selected as input range. As we click into the list box, we click the items in the list box, the cell link gets updated with a value that corresponds to the position of what we are clicking. So when I was on 4Runner, it was 1. Now I've moved to Corolla, the number has turned to 2. I'm on Tacoma, it's 3, and on and on. And if you had an extended list, that is how that number will change. Essentially, each form control has 2 main attributes that are relevant for us in building the Excel. The description, that's essentially what the front end user sees. And the examples of descriptions are these labels: 2012, 2014, 2016, car tire change. That's the first attribute. And the second attribute is the cell link range. The cell link range is important in creating that bridge, which is the third thing we're doing. The bridge connecting the front end to the back end that